Good morning, everyone, and happy Tuesday. This week I'm here to talk about greyhounds because they're a really amazing breed, and there was a ban on greyhound racing now in Florida, and that's causing a whole other bunch of good issues, I guess, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about it. So, if you don't know what greyhound racing is, it's been around or part of the gambling industry since the 1930s. So essentially, people bring their greyhounds, and these are usually, purebred to be exactly anatomically correct to maximize their speed, and they race them. And usually it involves chasing something around the inner part of the ring to get them to keep going. And the sad fact is that a lot of them are doped with drugs in the same way as they are in the horse industry, to get them to run through pain or on broken legs or things like that. And it makes me really sad because they could have such a good life if it wasn't for things like gambling and, the horse industry and poaching and zoos and things like that. They could have such a better life without it. But the kennel owners are pushing to get the retired greyhounds adopted, because if they don't get adopted when they're retired from racing, many of them are killed. And that just breaks my heart, because it's basically saying, you're not worth anything to us anymore, we're just going to kill you. Which is the same with animals used in labs for testing and racehorses, and a lot of zoo animals, once they get really sick, they'll put them down and just replace them. And they shouldn't be replaceable like that, but that's the sad fact. As of 2021, which is coming up, they made the ban so that they have some time to close the racetracks and find the greyhounds new homes. But in Florida is the majority of the racetracks. It's 11 of the 17 U.S. racetracks, which is majority, which is about 4,000 dogs, 4,000 greyhounds specifically. And many of them were moved through PEI up here in Canada, and the majority of them were adopted within the month, which is really nice. But on average, most rescue organizations can't take in, 200 greyhounds, so they have to spread them around a little bit. And there's actually an after-the-track greyhound adoption in the town that I live in, which is crazy because I didn't even know that it was here, despite all the work that I do with animals. And while I'm not in the market to adopt another dog right now, all of the greyhounds that got sent up have already been adopted here, which is really nice to see. But greyhound racing is banned in 14 other states, which is good because there's not that many places where the tracks are allowed to be anymore. But it's sad because the people who own the greyhounds, who get paid when they win, many of them who have the top performing dogs, instead of having them get adopted and gone elsewhere, they just relocate to a state that still allows greyhound racing and keep racing the dog there. Which then the competition gets higher and higher, and more dogs are being pushed out or retired and then getting euthanized, which just breaks my heart. And I think we can do a lot better. I know the gambling industry is really big, but even in Ontario here, the government gave a massive payoff to the horse gambling industry because there's a really big horse racing track very near here. And instead of giving it to, the education cuts or schools or funding for better nutrition or pollution or global warming, they get, I think it was about $300 million or something ridiculous to the horse racing industry. And I understand that there's a lot of jobs in the industry, but to the point where they're doping the animals with painkillers to run on broken legs, and their hooves are swollen and they get really, really sick from it. And I'm not saying all horse racing owners are like this, but many of them in the highly competitive levels will care more about winning than about the actual physical well-being of the horse, which again, people shouldn't be allowed to do that, but we don't live in a perfect world, so that's how it is. Unfortunately, it's similar to the case with animals rescued from labs, where if you do adopt one of the racetrack greyhounds, many of them have never seen stairs or kitchen floors or, big kitchen appliances that may be too shiny or scare them or something like that, but they don't have experience in the outside world. They do see grass, which is slightly more than the lab animals see, but they don't experience, that close emotional contact with people, most of them anyway. And a lot of people are hesitant to adopt them, but they're really, really beautiful dogs. And when I first did my acupressure training in Colorado, this was almost 4 years ago now, our practice dogs were greyhounds. And I thought they were beautiful. They're perfect for practicing acupressure. So if that's not enough reason to get one, I don't know what is. But because they don't have really thick hair and they have very thin skin, it's easier to locate the anatomical landmarks on them. Morning, sorry I'm late. How are you? Hi, Monica. No worries. I'm very good. I was up late last night because I was picking my friend up at the airport. So she's here for a whole week. So I'm squeezing this in while she's still sleeping from her flight. And I'm going to try and get some work done before she wakes up. Yes, they are amazing. I've worked with a couple. To be honest, I wish that I had worked with more because they're such amazing dogs. If you're interested in getting one, they have a very low grooming need, which is nice. In the winter, though, they may need like a sweater or a coat and little booties or something because they do get cold. They do like blankets and being warm. But their exercise is quite high. So if you're don't have a yard that they can run around in or jog regularly or something like that, they're going to need that exercise. So just something to keep in mind if you do want to get one. But again, many of them have had, emotional trauma on the track as well, where, they feel like nobody cares about them or they're pushed too hard and nobody really cares how they feel. And physical trauma, if they've run on a broken leg or they've had an injury and asked to run on it. And they're beautiful dogs, and I'd be more than happy to work with anybody who adopts one because I think they deserve all the love and care in the world. But many people are searching for Italian Greyhounds because they're smaller. Regular Greyhounds are pretty big, actually. If you haven't seen one before, they're actually pretty like hip height. But most people want Italian Greyhounds because, they're cute and little and they're probably, like this big. But just give them a chance. If you know someone that has a Greyhound, go and spend some time with them because they're really, really amazing dogs. But it makes me really happy to see how fast they're all getting adopted. But we have to work at closing the other Greyhound racing tracks. The horse racing track here at Woodbine is a massive operation, and to ever get that closed would be very, very difficult. But put it on the dream board because I support it when it's done fairly and the horses aren't abused or anything like that, but they can't safeguard against those things, so it needs to be policed better, basically. That's all I have to say for today. Hopefully it's not going to rain or snow or anything crazy again this week. But But I will be back next week with another video. Yes, I'm familiar with them. Yeah, it's every time I drive down that far, it just makes me sad. Because they just have massive barns that go as far as the eye can see. That are just filled with the racehorses, and it kind of looks like the what's it called? Drone footage of factory farms. You know, with all the chickens or the pigs or what have you. But it's just horses in these big, long barns. Totally forget what I was saying. Have a fabulous rest of your week. It is my birthday on Friday, so keep an eye out because I think I'm going to do a little giveaway contest type thing. But I will be probably offline for most of the week just because, because my friend is here. Thanks for tuning in, Monica. It's always nice to have an audience, even though I'm super tired today. Thank you. Yes, people have been asking me this because I have a face that I look really young all the time. I'm turning 26. So in case you were wondering, why is that 19-year-old having a business? I'm not 19. I get asked that quite a lot. Or why I'm not in school, or why this or why that. But in case you were wondering, I'm turning 26. Have a fabulous rest of your week, and I will see you next week for the first live video of May, because today is the last day of April. Enjoy your day.